Welcome to Next Level Home Experts with Boss Services. This is the show that helps you take your home to the next level. Your complete source for all your home questions, featuring in-depth interviews with the best home services experts in the industry. And now here's your hosts, Boss Services owners and authors, Jeff and Jerry Street.
Welcome to the best podcast in the world, not to oversell it, but we are talking with Mr. Gary Zimmerman today. He is our HVAC Field Service Manager here at Boss, and he is, I don't think I've ever met anybody in my lifetime more knowledgeable in the HVAC world than Gary. So
I don't know if we can live up to all this. The greatest podcast and the most knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That's asking a lot.
This is
yeah. No pressure, guys. We're going to jump into it. So, Gary, welcome.
Thank you.
So, I guess let's, how did you get into HVAC and how long you've been doing it and all that good stuff? Like, what makes it interesting?
Well, what got me into it was, about 20 years or so ago, I was standing knee-deep in mud holding a 26-foot 6x6, and I said, I'm not going to be able to do this when I'm 40 years old. And that night I went home and I went and applied for an HVAC position at another company. Ultimately got that job, and I haven't left the trade since. Yeah, and it's been 21 years.
Well, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background of those 21 years. What have you done? What's your experience?
Well, it's been kind of a multitude of different things. Trying to find my way in the trade, trying to find where my niche was at. I started out as an install helper. I always joke and say I didn't really know the difference between a filter and a football because I didn't know anything. I knew how to use a screwdriver and a drill, and that was about the extent of it. And I learned everything that I could. I dove right into every class they offered. I got my NATE certification, my Universal EPA certification within about the first 6 months of being in the trade. And then I went from, I got to the point where install kind of wasn't enough. I wanted to learn more. Mm-hmm. And the more that I learned, the more I wanted to do. And so I went into service. And eventually I got an opportunity to do industrial and commercial, did some industrial and commercial service, worked for a big corporate entity in that. And ultimately decided to come back to the residential side because I just really enjoy working with the customers and working with individual families.
Yeah, but a lot of experience to be gained on all of those.
Yeah.
It makes you more well-rounded, I imagine. Yeah,
absolutely. The difference between working on somebody's 2-ton air conditioner and working on a 200-ton centrifugal chiller at a hospital or working in I once worked in a walk-in cooler that was minus 40 degrees. And, it's a big difference, Yeah. That was an interesting day. You come from a 95-degree roof, you walk into a minus 45-degree freezer.
Yeah. Put your jacket on. You're going to get a cold.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a lot of experience. Again, I'll throw out this disclaimer. I don't have an HVAC background, so I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to HVAC, so I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
Perfect. So you run our HVAC service department here. You've got a bunch of little guys out there, and
they're going to love that description.
Yeah.
Hey, little fellas.
Hey, little guy.
Hey, little fellas.
What are you doing today, big guy?
Little fellers in the vans.
So you got a lot of vans on the road, and they're out there just fixing stuff and doing maintenance and all that good stuff. So what's the full scope of HVAC services that we do here?
Well, it's pretty broad, really. We do everything from just air conditioning, working on gas furnaces, working on geothermals, boilers, all different efficiency levels, and all over Southwest Michigan.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. If it heats or cools, then we're probably the guys to call for that.
You break it, Gary will fix it.
That's right.
So you're in the home. You got guys in the home. What you're the homeowner. You're calling somebody because you don't know how to fix it. So you're calling somebody to come fix it. So how do you know that somebody did a good job? Like, what's the what should you be looking for to know that the HVAC professional that just came into your home to fix your system did a good job, other than like, obviously, hey, it wasn't cooling when you walked in, now it is, or, whatever, heat's coming out now, so it works. Like what other things should they be looking for?
Well, I think it's important to look at more than just one single symptom. A lot of times you can call and you can say, hey, I don't have heat. Well, that's a pretty broad term.
Right.
You call, I don't have air conditioning. That's a broad term. And so the professional that's coming into your home, if they really care about getting to the bottom of the problem, they need to understand what your lifestyle is like. How long has this been going on? Gather some details. When was the last time you had your maintenance done? More importantly, when was the last time boss did your maintenance? Because we do things differently when we do a fall inspection or a spring inspection. You want to make sure that they're being thorough, that they're asking the right questions, and that they're paying attention to the information that you're giving them, because the information can be crucial in actually diagnosing the problem and trying to prevent it from happening in the future.
Yeah. So, and you can come in and fix the problem and leave, but it could just happen again if you don't investigate and really dig into the why behind it. Because like things break because they're worn out, but I mean, sometimes there's a reason why they break in newer equipment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of times I try to make sure that our technicians realize that there are other things that come together, that it's a chain reaction a lot of times. If one thing fails, you need to know the damage that can be incurred by another part of the equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. One thing breaks and then it breaks something else or wears something else down, and yeah.
So if I'm hearing you right, you want a service tech in your home that's asking good questions, that's getting you engaged, right? So Jeff asked, how do you know if they're doing a good job? I guess you want to make sure they're not hiding from you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They should be willing to let you stand right there behind them.
Yeah.
My guys are not afraid to have somebody stand beside them, behind them. We don't feel like you're hovering over us. We feel like
you're engaged.
You're engaged in the call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and as a homeowner, be curious. Be curious why your system is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should be 100% confident that the decision that you're making today to fix your equipment is the correct decision for you and for your family, whatever that looks like. Sometimes it's just doing the Band-Aid repair, the bare minimum, and other times it's going to complete and replacing the entire piece of equipment.
Right.
But that's not our decision to make. It's just our job to give you the information you need to make the right decision for you and your family.
Right.
Yep, 100%. Love it.
So we're going into winter here. What should we be doing as homeowners to get ready for the winter from the HVAC side of it?
Well, one thing is checking your air filters. That's the number one. It's something that's super simple for the average homeowner to do, but we really underestimate the value of keeping your equipment clean, because so many other things begin to fail, snowball, things that go wrong simply because of lack of cleaning, lack of maintenance, and more importantly, preventative things like, for instance, changing that filter.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, and I guess that leads into sorry, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. What is what's the importance of a checkup? I mean, so you talk about cleaning and maintenance and everything, and so what really does that boil down to? Why should I be getting my furnace checked out before the winter every year?
Well, safety, obviously, that's the number one thing, because there's so many things that can go wrong. Going back to that plugged filter, if you've had the same filter in there for the last 3 years, which we come across frequently, just out of sight, out of mind, this thing's down there humming along in your basement. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Well, the problem with that is airflow causes, or lack of airflow, causes your furnace to work a lot harder than it should, and that can create a lot of different problems. Your blower motor fails sooner, your heat exchanger fails, which there's a risk of carbon monoxide if that were to happen, and it takes away from the efficiency. So you're spending all that money to burn natural gas or to burn electric to create this heat, and you're not getting the heat out of it that you should.
Right. So it's working harder and costing you more money and costing you and ultimately shortening your equipment life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Who'd have thought? Changing a filter.
It's the beginning. It's the first domino.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So what is a furnace lifespan on it? Like how long does it last, and when should somebody start thinking about replacement? Because we get a lot of of ranges from 5 years up to I talked to a guy just a couple weeks ago that said he's had his furnace for 25 years. I mean, so what's the lifespan on a furnace?
It depends, but on average, if you're living in your home full time, it's not a part-time home. In Michigan, they work pretty hard. Some winters harder than others. And so on average, a furnace will last 15 to 20 years if it's a good name brand. There's some that are kind of like we say a builder's grade. And those you're only going to get 10 or 15 years out of it if you're lucky. Yeah. And that's with proper maintenance every year.
Yeah. Not everything's created equal.
Well, and I think a lot goes into the install, right? You can put a perfectly good furnace into a bad situation, and that's part of the discovery that we talk about, right? Like, you want a tech that's looking at all of the angles, and you can't rule out that the person there before you just didn't put the right thing in.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of times when houses are built, they're just built with getting air from point A to point B. They're not really considering things that we look at like static pressure, which dictates how much airflow you're actually getting into the space, and making sure that it's adequately sized so you get the velocity that you need in order for the airflow to project throughout the envelope, otherwise the home the way that you need it to, so it gives you a desirable outcome.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something important there. We're talking about reliability. We're talking about when you should replace a furnace and all of that. But there's another side to this. It's the comfort of your home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So, I mean, it's not all about just the reliability. It's about everything working together.
Yeah, that's one thing with new advancements in equipment. We've got the variable speed furnaces that use a highly variable blower motor. Yeah. It varies from 15% of the capacity to 100% of the capacity. And it makes a big difference in the comfort level. It doesn't dehumidify the house as bad, so you don't have to try to add that humidity back to the home. When you've got a single stage old furnace that it's got inadequate ductwork, undersized filters, things of that nature, it comes on, thing makes a loud noise, it blows the curtains off the wall, and it's super hot like a blast furnace for about 5 minutes, and you pray to God it shuts off. And it finally shuts off, and then 5 minutes later it's cold and it's coming back on again. It's because of oversized equipment.
You just described Thanksgiving for a lot of families.
Yeah, you did.
Why is it so hot in here?
Yeah.
Let me check this thermostat. Oh, it's set to 84.
Yeah, well, just open the doors. It's okay.
Yeah, crack a window or two.
Well, that leads into over your career. Tell us, I know you can't tell us about all of them, but tell us about some of the key advancements in technology. What have you seen over the years?
Well, we've gone from what we referred to as natural draft furnaces that all they had was a pilot burner, some main burners, and some of them didn't even have blower motors. We had the old gravity furnaces.
Yeah.
Man, I remember taking some of those monsters out when I first started. They were as big as a room, and it would take you all day to get it disconnected and get everything tore apart. You'd literally have to tear it in 100 pieces, it seemed like, to get it out of the home. And with the new equipment, it's much smaller. It's much more efficient. You can go as far as you want today's day and age. We've got heat pumps out there that will heat your home down to minus 35 degrees. We've got gas furnaces that will use as little as 15% of their maximum capacity. And so you can save a lot of energy and, cut your heating bills by quite a lot, depending on what you're willing to spend up front.
Yeah. Yeah. And the new thing, electrification. That's what everybody's hearing now, right?
Yeah.
That's the new thing, right? Heat pumps are in, gas is out. we'll see. We'll see where the future goes, right?
Yeah, the beauty of that is with some we do a lot of Mitsubishi, and that's because they're the high end guy. They're the best mini split system out there, and the beauty of it is you can set a different temperature in every room in your house. Yeah. With forced air systems, you're only allowed to shut off so many registers. If you close more than 10% of your registers, you're really taken away from the efficiency of the equipment. But when you've got a mini split system, you've literally got a separate, almost like a furnace in every single room. And so you can set those temperatures without affecting the efficiency. And in many ways, it improves efficiency rather than
you're not heating spaces that you're not using.
Yeah, 100%.
In my house, I've got Mitsubishi system is my only heat and cooling source in my home. And I mean, I equate that to going into your home and flipping the light switch on, and every light in your house comes on. It's on or off. There's no in between, and that's kind of the old system. And with the Mitsubishis, you can set it for every different temperatures in every room, turn them off, and I love it. And it does the middle of winter. I don't know how. I've watched the Mitsubishi video probably 4 times that explains how their heat pumps work.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I still don't understand it. So I will say that there's a little magic gremlin that lives inside of that heat pump outside, and somehow he is producing heat
he is.
when it's negative temperatures outside.
Yeah.
So, good for him. He's doing it, and I'm staying warm because of it.
Good for him.
But, yeah, it's magic to me.
It kind of is magic.
It
It does a really awesome job. It's one of those things where it's so variable. It can use as little or as much energy as it needs to in order to heat your home.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Heat pumps are probably the biggest change that I've seen over the years.
And also, I really love the new well connects that we've been offering, because they give your average homeowner the ability to introduce geothermal heating and cooling into their home without the big upfront expense of a standard geothermal system.
Yeah.
And they can do 80% of your cooling and 100% of your heating. And they just are the opposite way around.
The opposite
100%
way. Yep.
of your cooling, 80% of your
Nailed
heating.
it. First try.
But
they're and you know what? Made in Michigan.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
We get really good support because of it.
Yep. Great product.
So what? We talked about a lot. Oh,
we did.
Yeah. What's so one of the things that we talked about a little bit and we never really get into is efficiency. So we talk about furnaces, and they're 80%, 90%, whatever. What is the efficiency? What's that all about?
Well, basically, in layman's terms, it's for every $100. If you look at it this way, every $100 that you're spending in gas or in electricity to create heat, how much heat are you actually getting out of that? So if you've got a 90%, you're getting $90 worth of heat out of that $100. If you've got an 80%, you're getting $80 worth of heat, and the other $20 is just going out the window. It's going out the chimney in the exhaust. And it's a waste. It's a waste of energy. Not just on a gas furnace. It's not just the gas that you're wasting. It's also the electricity, because typically they don't have the best blower motor in them either. When you look at a standard blower motor on an 80% furnace, on average they use about 8 to 10 amps of electricity anytime they're running and blowing air throughout your home. On the other side, if you've got a variable speed, they're using about 1 amp. So that's a huge difference between the two of them, how much energy they're consuming.
Yeah. I've never heard it explained that way. I mean, that makes complete sense to me. That's way easier to understand than the way I've been trying to figure it out.
Math.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not my strong suit, guys. Come on.
Well, I think we've kind of went through everything. Is there anything you feel like we missed? Is there any other things you would add?
I was just thinking about when I was thinking about coming on here, I thought about 5 different tips that I could give people.
There you go.
to help them get prepared for the fall. And we've talked about some of them. We talked about checking the air filters and making sure that they're adequate. They're being changed every month. A lot of homes have 1-inch air filters in them, and those are highly restrictive, especially when you start looking at the ones that claim they're good for 90 days and they're MERV 15 and all this. The higher that MERV rating, the more restrictive it is and the harder it is on your equipment. Yeah, it's going to catch more dirt, but it's also going to put a restriction on your equipment before the filter's dirty.
Right.
So with the fact that it's catching a lot more dirt, we need to be considerate in changing them. I highly recommend changing them every 30 days, even if the filter manufacturer says it's good for 90 days.
Yeah.
Another thing is sealing up air leaks. We can save a lot of money in energy just by taping off plastic on your windows type thing, making sure you got good weather stripping on your doors and your windows. The less heat you let out, the less heat you have to create.
Yeah.
Right. The third thing would be if you got a heat pump, clean it up, get the debris away from it. Because if it's covered in cottonwood from the summer, if it's covered in leaves from the fall, it's not going to perform as well. Because those heat pumps, they need to defrost. Yeah. And they're not able to defrost if they can't get the air across them, and it can cause it to shorten the life cycle of the heat pump and not last as long. You invest a lot of money into that equipment. It's important to take care of it. And if you don't have the ability or you're not 100% sure how to do that, it's important to call a company that can, a reputable company. I would say Boss, but
but we're a little biased.
But we're a little biased on that.
So don't pressure wash that.
No, I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend. You could smash the fins and then you're in bed. And a lot of the heat pumps and air conditioners today, as you know, a lot of them have casing around them. Yeah. And you can't properly clean them just by spraying the outside of that sheet metal. Yeah. You've got to pull those sides off. You got to pull the top off. Mm-hmm. You got to clean it. A lot of times we'll use a chemical cleaner that's designed to foam up and pull all of the interior dirt and debris to the surface so that you can rinse it off properly. And then also there's drains in the bottom of that pan on the bottom of your heat pump. If those are full of leaves and all kinds of other garbage, it's not going to be able to drain. Yeah. And it's going to freeze up and it's going to disfigure and do damage to your heat pump. So, and a lot of times people just don't have the ability to get in there and get that stuff out. Yeah. And that's what a professional can do for you. They can get that stuff out.
Well, it can be kind of scary to start taking that apart.
Yeah, I would not take mine apart.
No, you're asking for trouble. There's electricity involved and moving parts and getting it put back together is a whole nother thing.
You always come up with that one extra part. What's the screw go to? Nah, it's not important.
The fourth thing I was thinking about was checking your alarms, your smoke alarms and your CO detectors. And here at Boss, we sell the CO Defender. And the reason we sell the Defender is it's not a CO detector, it's a CO monitor. It monitors your home all the time. And if there's even the smallest amount of carbon monoxide, it's going to display it. Yeah. And any home that has small children or has the elderly or people with compromised immune systems, they really should have a low concentration CO monitor such as a Defender in their home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, and I'm glad you wrote that down because we're about to start sealing our houses up even more, turning those furnaces on for the first time, and that's when CO becomes the most prevalent.
Yeah, we've been seeing it a lot lately. We've been seeing not so much the CO. We've been finding a lot of failed heat exchangers that people wouldn't know they were there if not for a professional coming in and inspecting it.
So if you're not having them inspected, at least have that monitor.
Yeah,
be safe.
100%. Yeah, one or the other.
Yep, or both.
Or both. Yeah, and then the fifth thing was just schedule a maintenance checkup.
Yeah,
the best way to prepare your system for the fall is to make sure that that maintenance it's been checked out. Somebody, a professional that knows furnaces, that knows the dangers of them, can come in and can just verify, yes, this thing is working as efficiently as possible, as safely as possible, and they can offer you preventative measures to prevent a breakdown.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's going to break on Christmas at midnight when you can't get any parts. So now's the time.
Well, they only break when you need them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like your car. It's just like anything else. It's just like your tractor.
Yeah, I need my tractor. It's broken.
It only breaks when you need it.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm going to go get Google certified on tractors real quick. I'll have it fixed.
Yeah, Google's got the answers to everything.
Yeah, they do.
Just not the ability to put it into practice.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. We thank Gary for taking the time out to educate us all. That was a pretty great conversation.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for coming out. And if you need HVAC services, Boss is open 24/7. So we will come out at 2:00 in the morning on Christmas, and hopefully it's a part that we have on our van, and it's not a special order. So we can fix it. So 269-468-6682, 24 hours a day, we will answer. If you like the podcast, please like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, wherever you're downloading this from. And we will chat next time.
Thanks for listening to Next Level Home Experts with Boss Services. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned some useful home tips along the way. If you found this episode valuable, please do us a favor and share it with others. And of course, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, if you have a home topic you'd like us to explore, email us at info@bosshvac.com. That's all for this episode. See you next time.